Morning. Right, I should probably point out a few things. First of all, we're broadcasting. So if you keep the heckling to the clean, please, that would help. Right, a few, obviously, bits of housekeeping we've got to do. Fire alarms, not expecting any, so if you hear one, it's real. Make your way out accordingly. Toilets, there's one on every floor. If you need any help or assistance, there's a whole team. You will have met some of them today on the doors, giving out the badges, etc. Find one, they've got support team on their badge, and they'll give you any assistance you need. Food and drink, I'll come on to that shortly. It's provided throughout the day, but there are other shops, etc. in the ICC that are open. Mentioned recording, Vox Pops. We've got a video team here today, and they've already got meetings set up with some of you, but there are other available slots that we'd like to fill. Okay, so if you've got an interest in saying something, or you're approached, please consider doing a Vox Pop for us. Keeping to time. Okay, we've got a busy schedule, busy day. I'd ask that all presenters and yeah, I know, already late. I'd ask that you try and keep to time. A few people we need to thank. The organising committee. We wouldn't be here without you. I really appreciate everything you've done, and that's from everybody in the hall, I'm sure. Louise Sinclair did most of the heavy lifting for us, and she's gone on holiday. She needed it, apparently. So we thank you, Louise. Mandy's taken over the mantle today, so Mandy, if you're in the audience, can you wave? Yeah, she's at the back top corner. Okay, if you've got any issues, go and see Mandy. And yeah, that'll teach you. I'd like to thank all the speakers for taking time out, the sponsors, obviously, all the support staff, and all of you for being here. So genuine thanks from everybody. Last year, we started in Leeds, and thank you, Lee, for inviting us to your wedding. This year, I'd like to welcome everyone to Birmingham. So a few things about Birmingham I just want to give you a heads up on. So I asked a few colleagues in London, I said, what do you know about Birmingham? And they said, the gangs. I said, okay, let's not worry. So the top gang, they haven't been seen for quite a few years around here. No problems. The other gang of bricklayers, they were last seen in Germany or Spain, led by the notorious Barry. It was actually from Dudley, so no worries. Birmingham itself is broken up into quarters, and the top picture, that's the jewellery quarter. So if you want to buy yourself something nice for being here, please carry on, or for a loved one. It's a great value, 120 jewellery shops back to back. We've got other quarters, we've got the Chinese quarter, we've got the gun quarter, and the bottom picture, that's the Italian quarter. Somebody got it. Okay, so that's Spaghetti Junction. So for anybody leaving via Spaghetti Junction tomorrow, we'll see you back here 20 minutes after you've left. Okay, so, and all the pictures on the other side of the screen, that's some of our more funnier exports. And we've got one on the panel with us today. Right, so because, I've put this on there because obviously some of our digital sort of suppliers have let us down, so Google Translate, Microsoft, etc., they don't do Brummagem. So I thought I'd give you a bit of a sort of inroad for those that are staying over tonight, some of the conversations and words you might hear. So, our kid, literally a term of endearment for somebody who tends to be younger than you, tends to be family. Bab is a term of greetings to a loved one, normally. Right, and the next three, they're interesting. So, bust means broken, or bossed means broken. Bossed in means great, and bossed up, fight. Do not intertwine these tonight. Okay. So, we've got more canals than Venice, as we often talk about in Birmingham, but we refer to it as the cut. Okay, so don't fall into the cut tonight. A few others, gizzit means give it to me. Okay, you get that. Os, obviously horse, which you'll see down the cut. Shrapnel, loose change. Tarrar, or tarrar a bit. That's what we'll say at the end of today. I hope to see you all tomorrow. Wag is not your wives and girlfriends for the southerners. It means you're going to bunk off, so I don't expect anybody to wag tomorrow. Yampy means you're a bit soft in the head, which some of you may hear today, aimed at yourselves. And yom, yoam, you are. Okay, so I'd just like to welcome you. If you want to take a picture, because it's not on Google Translate, etc., please carry on. Okay, the next 2 days, hopefully you've picked up an agenda. We've got some fantastic topics, some fantastic speakers. If you've got multiple people from an ICS, I'd encourage you to spread yourselves across the sort of presentations for each session. Take a session each. Because today and tomorrow are also about accelerated learning, what we're doing with the shared care record. Picking up the best points we can in each of these presentations so we can take home with us and sort of accelerate our own learning, our own shared care records. So hopefully, I won't go into the detail, but hopefully you've got the agenda and you've marked off some ideas and things that you want to go and visit. So that's it from me, you'll be glad to know. I'd now like to open to our keynote speaker, Sam, for our opening session. Thank you very much.
Good morning, and thank you for the introduction, Carl. I'm delighted to share with you from a lived experience why information sharing matters. Not only to promote better health and care, but also to improve overall well-being and quality of life. Quality of life for people like my son Shane. However, having access to that information is not enough. You have to act upon it. Recognise a person's individuality and sometimes put in place reasonable adjustments. Reasonable adjustments don't have to be big mammoth tasks. Sometimes small things can make a real difference. I'd like to now share with you a short video. I've got two sons. Daniel is almost 18 and Shane, who's 21. He's very funny. You know, I think about 3 years ago he started to develop this really fun sense of humour. And he's also the most affectionate person I know. It's so lovely when I go in and call him in the morning and the first thing he does is give me a big hug. He's really proud when he's able to do something on his own. And sometimes he'll push me away because it's like, no, Mom, this, you know, I can do this myself. And sometimes he'll sit on the top stair and then he'll call me. Shane can say Mama, it's the only word he can say. And what he wants is me to sit beside him and give him a hug. And it just starts my day in such a positive way. After that, Shane goes to his annex. He's there between the hours of 9 and 4 every day, and he's supported by Max, and at various times during the week we have a 2-to-1 support which enables Shane to access the community safely. Shane starts every day with a tack pack session. This is really great for Shane to have the sensory needs met, and he always feels happy and relaxed afterwards. 3 times a week Shane does what we call the big walk. The walk is up to 3 miles long. On the way Shane will stop and smell flowers, touch trees, and some days he will pop into our local co-op and buy his ingredients for a baking activity. After Shane was born, about 25 hours later he started to have a seizure and he ended up in intensive care. Shane had meningitis. He spent a little over a month in hospital, and on discharge he was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. When Shane was 8 months old, he got diagnosed with optic nerve damage and cortical visual impairment. Shane is registered blind, and cognitively he's about 2.5 to 3 years old.
Hey, Shane? Yeah?
As a parent of a young person with complex needs, it's really important for us that those who work with Shane, they understand him as a person. Yes, his diagnosis and his health needs are important, but they're not as important as what's important to Shane. They have to see him first and his disability second. Before we employ new people, we always share Shane's wiki. Shane's wiki is very comprehensive and it covers lots of information about our family, Shane's health needs, but most importantly about Shane as a person, what he likes, what he dislikes, what makes him happy, how he interacts with people, and they get a really good picture and an insight into how best to support Shane, but also when not to support him. Just pulling up a zip on his coat, that's independence for him because it's a skill he's learned, and we don't want somebody doing that for them. This is the type of information you're not going to get on a medical report. But by having everything in one place, new people coming to work with Shane will get that insight before they start. I'm almost like preparing for the future, preparing for a time that I really find quite hard to think about, a time in the future when I'll no longer be here. Having all of that information in one place means that when I'm no longer here, that can be passed on to whoever looks after Shane. I'm really proud and happy to say Shane is one of the happiest people I know. Now that his needs are met, he's stimulated, he's surrounded by people who love him, and he's supported by those who really understand him as a person and what's important to him. That video was made 4 years ago. One thing that jumps out at me there, it's quite emotional. When you have a good team around you, it really is unbelievable what you can achieve. Shane has not used his wheelchair for 9 months. Following those daily exercises, giving him opportunity to move around and have those good life experiences has really changed things. I wasn't expecting to get emotional. I mentioned having a digital record where I keep Shane's information. I started using it in 2012, and I just mentioned to the guys, I did a presentation then. I could have done the same presentation today. Sharing information really, really matters, and it's not all the clinical stuff. It's the, Shane is registered blind, but if you present something to the side, he has a better chance of seeing it. So that's a really, really important piece of information. Shane communicates by idiosyncratic signs. It really doesn't matter how he signs. What's important is that the people who support him know what those signs mean. Eu vivi 10 anos em Portugal e trabalhei lá. I lived in Portugal for 10 years and I worked there, and I had to know how to speak the language for my job. To support Shane, you need to know his language. Having all his signs in one place means he's listened to and he's understood and his basic needs are met. Could you imagine him sitting in hospital asking for a drink? I actually feel quite thirsty, so I'm going to have a drink now. If you don't know how Shane signs for drink, he'll get dehydrated. And then we've got more problems. Shane's care and support is funded by the NHS Continuing Healthcare. I employ a couple of people directly. I also work with 2 care providers. Together we're a team of 8 people providing personalised care and support to Shane. Not only to keep him healthy, but to help him have a meaningful, fulfilling life. Before anybody new comes along, I have the must-haves, and the must-haves is understanding how Shane communicates. So, for example, this is Shane's sign. It's actually the Macketon sign for brother. He only has one brother. But what he's signing for, he's asking, where is his brother? His brother's at university. He comes home at holiday periods. And I always notice, when he goes back, Shane is looking for him.
All he wants is you to acknowledge him and to say, Daniel is not here at the moment, but he'll be back soon. And he will carry on with his day fine. I remember one time he was in a specialist secondary school. He was signing brother. It was before I had the digital record. That day I get a phone call about challenging behaviour. Shane got upset because he was ignored. And he started banging his head and he threw himself on the ground. I really dislike that word, challenging behaviour. I was interested in the barrier to positive behaviour. And the barrier was poor support because they didn't have the right information. So 4 years ago, everything was going well. And sometimes things change. And I suppose, the reality of having cerebral palsy, there's complexities to ageing. But also Shane, like all of us, can get other conditions. In November, Shane got diagnosed with interstitial cystitis. I'd never even heard of it. And actually, it's a condition, it's quite a rare condition in his bladder. And a couple of weeks ago, I had an incontinence nurse annual assessment. She'd never even heard of it. Shane was urinating a lot of blood, and it was really, really worrying. And we ended up in A&E, and following that, he was signposted to a urologist. And surgery was discussed to really see, what the problem is. It's a worrying time for anybody when you have to have surgery. It's even more worrying when you're a parent of somebody like Shane. But I was in good hands because I truly believe his urologist was what I would call one of those great learning disability champions. Could we go back to the original slides, please? And he really understood that we may need to put some reasonable adjustments in place. They're not big mammoth tasks. They're small little things that make a difference. One thing that he did, which was fantastic, was referred us to the Learning Disability Liaison Nurse. What an amazing service they provide. It really is great. We had conversations before surgery about, the types of things that I felt were necessary, so Shane would tolerate everything that was going to happen that day. She collected his hospital passport. Now, for me, having everything in one place on my digital platform, I knew exactly where it was because, Shane's 25 now, and if I was to keep every single piece of paper, I'd need a spare room to, just keep it all together. So having everything in one place is just, so good on lots of different levels. So what are reasonable adjustments? I suppose for a medical professional it might sound scary and thinking, oh my gosh, we have to move heaven and earth for this person coming in. Pre-operative assessment, before Shane had his blood pressure taken, giving him a little bit of time just to feel the arm cuff beforehand meant he knew what was going to happen. When he felt the pressure, he started signing finished. Just reassuring him it was almost finished meant that he tolerated it. Having support from the Learning Disability Liaison Nurse on the day of surgery was great. One thing I didn't realise, because you kind of learn along the way the different tasks people do. When she got hold of the hospital passport, went through it with me, she cherry-picked what she thought were really, really key things for people on the day ward to know, and she uploaded it onto the hospital system. I didn't know she did that. I felt like Shane was a VIP that day. Everybody greeted him, everybody spoke to him, because on the hospital passport I mentioned it's important to speak to Shane and not just to me all the time. I understand, you know, in a day ward you won't have time to go through everything, but having those key things in there really, really made a difference. Made a difference to me too. I was more relaxed. So what were the reasonable adjustments? Shane was first on the list because of his learning disability. He would find it difficult to understand that he couldn't eat before surgery. So he didn't have to deal with that anxiety by having to wait a long time. Before he went down to theatre, nobody made him take his clothes off and put on a hospital gown. That made a difference. And also, he doesn't like needles, so having the anaesthetic with a mask meant he didn't get stressed. It was a huge success, and I was so worried because we were trying to rule out cancer and take biopsies. And I was delighted, obviously not happy with the new diagnosis, but I was really happy my son didn't have cancer. He had Hunner's ulcers and this condition that is well managed at home. And again, something else, you know, new information, uploaded on the system, share it with the care staff. They understand how to support him. The plan after surgery was also to come back and have another general anaesthetic and have a kidney scan. But Shane was so relaxed and felt so well cared for. I had a chat with the urologist and said, is there any chance we could try and do that today? Shane had the kidney scan on the same day with no anaesthetic. I just really want to just point out that these small changes really do have a big impact. A week after surgery, there was complications and Shane started urinating blood again. Back to A&E. It was a Saturday. The learning disability nurse doesn't work on a Saturday. People with learning disabilities can get sick at any day of the week. Shane became very distressed. He was in a lot of pain. I'd just like to talk about language. When we use the word challenging, how does it make you feel? That the person is a problem? But if I tell you my son is distressed, we become more empathetic. And what he's telling us is that he's afraid and he wants some help. It was a busy day on Saturday in A&E, and I remember having a conversation with the A&E doctor about Shane's treatment plan. I wasn't very happy with the proposals because I knew he would find it really, really difficult. For some parents and carers and maybe, you know, support staff and care homes bringing people in, you know, to A&E, especially those with complex needs and comorbidities, they may not be as confident as I am to advocate. I'd love to see the learning disability nurse role, work at weekends as well to help those families. The plan was to give Shane a little tablet so he can calm down, so they could insert a catheter and look into his bladder. I knew this was not going to happen. But after some discussion, the doctor listened to me and we tried something else and everything was a success. I hope afterwards she shared her experience of working with me to provide the right treatment for Shane, and through reflective practice could highlight to colleagues the positive outcomes that can be achieved when you treat the whole person and not just the problem they present with. Knowing Shane has cerebral palsy won't tell you that he'd rather walk around. Knowing he's registered blind won't tell you if you present things in certain ways, he can see some images. Knowing he has a severe learning disability will not tell you how to communicate with him. What does idiosyncratic signs mean? How he shows pain. and what small, reasonable adjustments can be made to support him to tolerate medical treatments. There are many IT companies that build apps and technologies, for people like Shane. Some of them are working on small budgets, and they engage with the learning disability community to ensure a co-produced product like the one Shane uses and I use. Many of these systems, though, are historically social care driven. Social care has to matter. There has to be a real partnership between health and social care. Building that partnership of equals will promote better health and well-being for people like Shane. I'd just like to finish by sharing a short video. It was made by Shane's brother. Shane's brother's now 22, and I did get permission to share this. He was happy for me to share it. And it's relevant still today. And when I start building, getting information together for Shane's support plans, I asked him, what does he think is important for the future?
What's important to Shane in the future? To live with us at home, to see his friends, to be able to walk, to learn new skills and to go on holidays with us. Actually, it's just what I want to do, only Shane needs everyone's help for this to happen.
I think the key message is, it's just what I want to do. But Shane needs everyone's help for this to happen. He needs an integrated care and support system, sharing appropriate information and acting on it. Good care is not enough for me. Good care just keeps you alive and safe. But by engaging with About Me information, shared care records, we can promote improved care and support where people are listened to and valued and understood, and their goals and health ambitions are taken into account, and the support is offered to help them achieve them. Thank you.